it's indelibly, marked in our nature to compete for the dominant males.
Oh, yes, no doubt about that.
And
that seems true cross-culturally as well. That does flatten out a little bit in the more egalitarian societies.
Yeah.
So instead of being exaggerated, it does flatten to some degree.
Right.
So you could imagine that there's a biological component and a cultural component.
Of course,
and
both.
In that case, if you modify the cultural component, then that seems to decrease the overall. So, let me be more clear about this. Women are less prone to mate up across and up status hierarchies in Scandinavia than they are in less egalitarian countries. But they're still prone to do it. So worldwide, for example, young women find men who are about 4 years older than them maximally attractive. And they tend to mate across and up status hierarchies. And so one of the consequences of that, for example, is that as women have entered the workforce, they've actually driven inequality, because rich women will only marry rich men as rich as them or richer, whereas rich men will marry women who are poorer than them, but women won't. And so what that means is it's another factor that's pooling wealth in the hands of fewer and fewer people.
It's a sortative mating now,
yeah.
And you just find someone with your background. Whereas a doctor might have once married his secretary, he now marries another doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, can I ask then, stepping a little bit back from primates as well, how does this selection work in the era of swiping right and left? What is your reaction to the way young people date today?
Oh, that's I was really hoping we'd get into that. I was really...
Well, you were very into the monkeys, so I didn't want to interrupt.
No. Well, I should close off the Scandinavian discussion just by pointing out, and this is something that the Scandinavians are really going to have to wrestle with, is that if you institute effective policies to promote equality of opportunity, which the Scandinavians have done, you're going to produce some equality, so like a 50-50 distribution of men and women in the workplace, but you're also going to exacerbate certain kinds of inequality, and you can't get out of that. So you cannot have equality of opportunity and equality of outcome together. They don't work together. And equality of outcome, the essential equality of outcome doctrine, which is often described with the code word equity, is that at every level of every occupation, the people have to be represented by the same number that they're represented in at the population. So if it's not 50-50 men and women in each occupation and in each strata at each occupation, then that's sort of prima facie evidence for discrimination and for systemic discrimination. It's like, nope, sorry, you have to factor in choice, and choice actually turns out to be a very important determinant. And as the society gets flatter and flatter, choice becomes a more and more important determinant. And so what that essentially means is that the most radical end of the left-wing political agenda is logically impossible, apart from the fact that it's impossible for a variety of other reasons.